Hello, everybody. This is Jack, and I'm so excited today because, you know, I always want you to learn something new and to be worthwhile to come on the training for an hour and bring you to the next level. But I really like you to pay attention today, make some notes, and at the end of the training, you should have said, okay, yes, that is how video ads works. So with that said, Ray, do you hear me?
I sure do, and I'm excited.
Info.
Yeah, and welcome out, everybody. Glad to have you on here. And Michael says he recognizes my voice, and I appreciate that. So that's great. So just a very quick, I'm not going to spend a lot of time doing this, just so you kind of know who I am when I'm talking about this. I've been working with video since 1992. That's a long time ago. Probably some of you aren't even that old, but that was the year I graduated high school, believe it or not. So over 30 years ago. And when I got out of high school, I was doing things like weddings and local cable commercials and things like that. So been in video for a long time. Produced many, many TV commercials, both nationally and locally. We've produced local news. I actually worked at a TV station in Providence, Rhode Island, which was a WPRI TV, Channel 12, and also Fox 64. But I've also worked with NBC and ESPN and the NHL and the NFL and Sci-Fi and a whole bunch of others as well. And been working with video since long before YouTube existed. YouTube came along, in 2005. So I had literally been working in not only video, but working in online video for many years before YouTube even existed, and began using YouTube ads as soon as they started to have those. As soon as they allowed us to do ads on YouTube, we jumped all over that, and then began using Hulu ads as soon as they were available to us. And you'll see us is in quotes, and you'll learn why in just a minute. But if you listen to me today, here's what I'm going to promise to you. We're going to talk about why TV has always been the top performing ad method. And yes, we love Google ads, we love Facebook ads, we love print ads and all these other things, but TV has always been the king when it comes to that. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about how to create an effective commercial, because I want you to walk out of here, whether you follow me after this or do anything after this, I want you to walk out of here knowing what an effective commercial, especially an effective commercial for an online entity, can really be, because we want you to walk away with that and be able to do that. So we're going to talk about the downside of TV commercials. And notice it says 2022. Well, of course, it should say 2023 and soon 2024 now, but there is a downside to TV commercials right now. And we're going to talk about what that is and why that is. And we're going to talk about the new way of TV advertising that still works today and works really well. And we'll talk about a little bit of speculation of where it's going in the future, because some things are changing right now, which is potentially really good for us. And at the end, if I've given you what I say, then I hope that you'll allow me to give you a bit of an offer on how you can help get your commercials, or in this case, probably your clients' commercials, on TV for far less money than you ever thought was possible. And that's what we're going to deal with today. So to start off with, why are TV commercials effective? Well, TV commercials have been around, since the 1950s, when TV first really started to catch on here, and not only here in the US, but in Europe and England and all the other places that it soon picked up afterwards. And if you look over to the right-hand side, and you'll see three little things over there, and I'm sure all of you know exactly who the top one is. Put down there. Let me know who that top guy is and what he's advertising. We know what that is. Below him, we see a man and a woman at a table, and I want to see how many of you know what the commercial was, or what the product was in the commercial with that man and that woman. This is going to show you how old you are, in comparison. So somebody said Bradley says Prego spaghetti sauce. No, it's not. Believe it or not, that's what I thought it was when I first did it, but it was not. Betty Petty got it right. Ronald McDonald and Alka-Seltzer. So the middle one is Alka-Seltzer. Plop, fizz, fizz. So it was a spicy meatball. Now, the fact that some of you know these things, right? What does that say? That says that these TV commercials have stuck in your head even after all these years. Yeah, a lot of people said Ragu and Prego, but it was actually a commercial for Alka-Seltzer for after you've had that spicy spaghetti sauce. Now, let me ask you this. The bottom one, we see the very popular William Shatner, but how many of you know what is the computer there that's being advertised in that commercial? Dan says Commodore. I want something a little more specific, Dan. A little more specific. A lot of people get this one wrong. They should really, because Darren says a Commodore 64. I see a Trash 80. I see a 64. I see Apple Commodore. Yeah, that never happened. A Commodore 64. It is not the Commodore 64. Certainly looks like it though, doesn't it? That was actually before the Commodore 64 came out. That is actually for the Commodore VIC-20. But and I'll be honest, that commercial is even a little bit before my time. So I mean, I was alive, but I was real little when that was out there. My era was the Commodore 64. So now we're going into into the 80s. This is in the late 70s where we're seeing William Shatner and the Commodore VIC-20. And what's funny is that in the commercial, they're actually using a television as the monitor, which is kind of funny. But anyway, but even now, TV ads are still the most trusted types of ads. And video ads in general are right up there with TV ads. And I don't know how many of you have ever heard this before, but many people have said, oh, people don't trust commercials anymore, right? A lot of people that are doing online marketing and things, oh, people don't trust commercials anymore. The reality is that's simply not the case. Study after study after study has shown that people still trust TV ads more than any other type of advertising. And on top of that, they trust the companies that run TV ads. And the reason for that is usually because they kind of think of, if you're running a TV ad, you're probably better, you're more important. So think about this. If you've got two local car dealerships and one of them's on TV, one of them's not, that one on TV is probably going to have a slightly higher stature in a lot of people's minds. And that's why TV is so incredibly effective. Yeah, Dan says it's a perceived higher barrier to entry. And in the past, it really was a much higher barrier to entry. And we'll talk about exactly why it's higher. They're the most effective because they have a captive audience. When people are watching television, they're stuck on their couch and they're sitting there watching TV. They can't go anywhere. I mean, they can, but they're not going to go anywhere. They may leave for a minute and they're going to come back. They're stuck on that thing waiting for the rest of their TV show to come on. And that's what makes it very effective. When they're sitting on that couch, kind of zoning out, and those commercials are, bouncing around in their skulls, that's a very good thing. So what actually makes an effective commercial? Well, let's look at the two on the right here. How many of you know what that first one is? I mean, you can kind of see it at the top one there, kind of see what it's got there. But how many of you remember those commercials? Those are much more recent. And anybody know what that product is inside the football there? I know you probably can even read it, but let's see if anybody remembers this one. Bow Stick, not Bow Stick, nope. Yes, it's Old Spice, absolutely. So Tyrone and Patty, got that right there. That is, sorry. Oh, it says Patty. I'm sorry. I'm blind, Patty. I thought it said PE. It says PA. So Patty, my apologies. Now below that, Bradley, you've got the next one. Where's the beef? Here come all the where's the beefs. Darren and Patty and Jeffrey. Yeah. Mark. So everybody knows where's the beef, right? Now, the great thing about this is think about that. Where's the beef? Those commercials were in the early to mid 80s. And yet everybody on here, where's the beef? 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 Because they remember that. And, the lady that's in this commercial, her name was Clara Peller. And she wasn't even an actress, believe it or not. She was actually the mother of one of the people, I think, one of the producers of the commercial. She was just their mother. And they brought her in and had her do this. But she is still remembered to this day. In fact, after she finished with Wendy's, she was hired all over the country to do, similar types of things for other brands, for smaller brands, at live events, things like that. So very, very effective. She became very famous despite not being a real actor. And she was in her early 80s or late 70s when this happened. So Michael says he can't see the active screen. Now, hopefully everybody else can, because I am hearing where's the beef. So if anyone else is having trouble, just let us know in there. And Michael, what you may have to do is jump out and jump back in and see if that helps. What makes an effective commercial? What makes you remember Clara Peller saying, where's the beef? And the guy above, doing, I think in that one, he's actually like a centaur too, on top of the fact that he's got the football. But What makes them is they open with impact. And what do I mean by that? Something in there makes you, it grabs your attention immediately. What do you see? Boom, something crazy might be right in front of you. Maybe it's the product right in front of you, but there's some sort of impact that makes you pay attention. And in the case of, Clara Peller, you probably see her driving around like a crazy person. Or in the case of the Old Spice stuff, you see a guy walk in who's a centaur and he's got a football. So you're paying attention to these things. You have impact. What you also need to do is you need to make your brand come through. So in other words, you need to, and somebody else said, Mark said it there, you need a 6 to 8 second hook, especially nowadays. You need that hook. In fact, I'd probably say 3 to 4 seconds with today's attention span. But and for those of you whoever look at like TikTok or YouTube Shorts, if they don't catch you in that first second, you're scrolling. So you got to do that with your videos in TV ads as well. You got to get their attention. You got to make that brand come through. There's nothing worse than a great commercial, and at the end, when you're telling somebody about this great commercial, but you don't remember what the product was. So you've got to make sure that your brand comes through on that. Nobody forgets where's the beef. Nobody forgets that. Okay. You want to start and end with your name and or logo. Now, this is especially true for local marketing, because local marketing, you haven't spent $100 million over 20 years to make sure that everybody knows who you are. You can't just throw your logo up there like Apple does and have people know exactly what you are, or, or the Ford logo or Coca-Cola or whatever. You need to make sure that you've got that information in there. You need to use things like voiceovers and text to reinforce your message. Okay, think of all the commercials that we see where, especially like one of my favorites to talk about is the allergy commercials. What do we usually see in the allergy commercials? We just see somebody walking on a beach and somebody playing in a field and somebody kicking a ball with their kids. If you didn't have the text, if you didn't have the voiceover, you'd just be looking at some pretty pictures of people playing outside. So you got to make sure that you have that in there to make sure that people know what it is that you're trying to advertise. Okay. You need to have a clear message that you're trying to share. So what is that message? Is it that you're the family-owned car dealership? Is it that you've got the best burger in town? Make sure that you have a clear message that you want to share. We are the dealership to buy from. Okay. I do a lot of car dealerships when I lived up north. We worked with a lot of car dealerships, and that was the one thing that we always did, was we wanted to have a clear message about that particular business. One was, 4 generations of family. One was, that, they used to be race car drivers. One of them is that they were by the ocean. I'm not sure why that was, oceans cars, but they were by the ocean. And so they were the ocean dealership. I wasn't a big fan of that one, but it's still, people understood what that meant. You don't car from a fish or a whale, but that's what they wanted. And so that's the image that we put through to it. Okay. You need to have a call to action. No matter what you're doing with a commercial, you need to have some kind of call to action. Is it to call a number? Is it to click a website? Is it to, as we saw in the last Super Bowl, is it to scan a QR code that's on the screen by itself? Many different things you can do to have a call to action, but you need to have it there. Now, yes, there are many commercials that kind of just tell a story, but realistically, those are usually businesses that have spent millions and millions of dollars telling you what that call to action is already. Coca-Cola can, just have a call to action of people having fun and doing things, and then at the end show the Coca-Cola logo. And you know what that means. The call to action is buy a Coke. They don't necessarily need to do it in those, but you do. Local business, you definitely do. Make sure you've got a call to action. Tell people what you want them to do. And a good example of this kind of thing is, if you look at YouTube videos, the videos that get a lot of subs, a lot of likes, they tell them, click the like button, right? How many times have you watched a video where they say, click the like button, and you're like, oh yeah, I should click the like button. And you do it. Give a call to action, okay? You also want to tell a story. Like I said, the family-owned dealership, 4 generations, we rented a well-known stage in Providence, Rhode Island, and we had all these signs on the stage at different levels, kind of like 3-dimensionally, all over, hanging from the ceiling from years and years back. So recent ones from the 60s and one from the 50s. And, then we had the different generations of the family getting in there and talking about the dealership. They were telling that story about how they got started and how they've been around for 4 generations. And they had the grandfather, the father, the son, the grandson, all of them in these commercials going back and forth. And we did a whole series. So one commercial might have had 4 of them, another one might have had 5 more, and they were, from the young kids to the older guy who did it all. They were in this commercial to tell a story. Okay. We had another one in Springfield, Massachusetts, and those guys started off racing cars. And so we told the story about them racing cars. We even started off with footage of them driving boxes. And if you know what that is, like a soapbox derby, that's where they build the cars out of a box and they race it down a hill. It showed them like racing, doing that, these 2 brothers. And so the story was there that, hey, they've been involved in, racing in cars forever. All of those things can be done. You got to tell a story in there, no matter what that story is. Are you are you with the best deal? Are you the friendliest? Are you the longest running? Whatever that is, tell that story about your brand. Okay. And you want to tailor the content and message to that particular audience. So for instance, let's say that you're selling women's shoes, right? You don't want that commercial to be targeted towards old men. It doesn't make sense. You want to make sure if you're selling, women's shoes for young women to go out dancing, then you want to make sure that that content actually targets that audience and makes sense to them. Okay. So just make sure that you do that. And then the last thing is, since you're on a streaming service with things like we're going to talk about today, you can always make a nod to the fact that you're embracing this new technology, and and let people in on the, break that fourth wall. Oh, hey, look, we're cool. We're on Hulu. We're on whatever. So you can do that kind of thing, and you can have a lot more impact with people and connection with people by doing things like that. Okay. Now, with TV commercials, there is always a downside as well. And what is that downside? Well, they are pretty much the most expensive form of advertising that you're going to encounter. At least traditionally they have been. Why is that? Because you are creating commercials, you're dealing with all the different companies. You got to do a lot of different things. But most of all these days, DVRs allow people to skip those commercials, which means that if you're paying $5,000 a month to have your ad on there and 50% of the people are skipping that ad because they have a DVR, well, that's like paying double for each of those commercials. So it's becoming even more expensive. And more people are cutting the cord, which means that while these traditional means, cable and broadcast television, are still charging all that money, there's a huge number of people that aren't even there anymore. They're gone. Those numbers are smaller, but the prices have not come down. It's still very, very expensive. And as I mentioned before, you got to deal with a lot of different companies. Media buying, if you've never done it, it can be crazy. Think about this. In your area, how many cable companies are there that service your neighborhood or your city? Well, if you want to have an effective TV commercial, you need to set up commercials with every single one of those cable companies. Because if you set up with Comcast, you're only getting the Comcast customers, and you're only getting the Comcast customers in your area. Oh, and by the way, that area might be bigger than where you are, so you're paying for a bunch of people that probably aren't going to come to your business. On top of that, now you've got to go to AT&T and you got to do the same thing, and then you got to go to Spectrum and whoever else, and maybe you got another company in there. So you're going to be doing a lot of work, dealing with a lot of companies, and spending a lot of money just to get your commercial on there. Oh, and by the way, I didn't mention this. If somebody's watching broadcast TV, you're not there either. You got to deal with those TV stations as well. So now you got to deal with channel 10 and channel 6 and channel 3 and channel 7 to get your stuff on there. And then the UHF stations, and you want to get on those. So you're going to be spending a lot of money in order to get a good, sizable audience that can watch your stuff. And even then, they're going to be using their DVRs, so you got to be careful. Okay. But remember, TV is still the most impactful type of videos or type of advertising, but you're missing out on a lot with that too. So what does that mean for us? Well, whoops. Oh, and then I hit the wrong thing. Hey, gosh darn it. Sorry guys, hold on. I hit the go to instead. There we go. So what we want to talk about now is, yeah, and by the way, Arlene says she has not turned on her TV in over 2 years. There was a time where I could say that too. It was like 2 years before I turned my TV on again. In fact, at one time we had no TVs in the house for a while. Just the way of the world. You can watch on your laptop and your iPads and things like that. So the new way is what we call OTT advertising, which stands for over the top. And no, we're not talking about Sylvester Stallone here. We're talking about uh, internet-based advertising, internet-based television, internet-based movies. And those are the services like Hulu, Roku, Netflix, Apple TV. Now we can talk about Peacock. You got Disney Plus. You got all those different ones, CBS Plus, whatever other one you can think of. Those are the services that are these over-the-top services that we now can really take advantage of. And these do have advantages over traditional TV ads. And why is that? Well, much like when you're doing a Google ad or a YouTube ad, these are much more targeted. And what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is if you think about your cable companies, right? When your cable companies when you're doing advertising on them, they're giving you a region. Now, where I live, I live in an unfortunate area for this. My city is actually in two different counties. So right down the middle of my city is where the county line is. So my city falls into two counties. And what does that mean? Well, that means that if I do cable advertising, I'm going to get my whole city. What I'm going to get is a portion of my city and another city next to it, or the other half of the city and the city next to that. And the city next to that's probably not going to come over to my business when there's four of them over in their city. So you're spending money to capture people that are in a geographic area that's not huge, but it's fairly large. And they're probably not, if you're a dentist, there's 15 dentists between you and them that they're probably going to choose because they're closer. So if you're advertising, they're probably still not going to come to you. So you're using a lot of resources for people that may not travel all the way to where you are. Okay, so that can make it very, very difficult. The other thing, and by the way, this new type of advertising, way more targeted, which we'll talk about in a second. The other thing is on most of these services, these commercials can't be skipped like on traditional TV. In fact, if you try them, like shut the TV off, if you're an advertiser, you don't even get charged for that. So if they watch half your commercial and turn the TV off, you do not get charged for that ad because they did not see the whole ad. Okay. They can't skip the ad and you only get charged when they watch the whole thing anyway. So it's a very, very good system as far as that. Now, the one that I choose most above all is Hulu. And I'm sure many of you probably have Hulu and probably used Hulu or probably do use Hulu. Hulu is a great platform. And by the way, I do want to mention, since the time that we started this program here, I've been working now a little bit with Peacock because that's a good platform that's up and coming. And we're trying to figure out if we can start to get doing some of this local stuff with them. And it's not quite there, but I think it's coming soon. And so all of this training that you're learning here today, you can take this and you can apply this to Peacock when they kind of get on board with that. The other thing I should mention is that Hulu, for better or worse these days, is part of Disney. And Disney Plus and Hulu are expected to, in some way, shape, or form, merge together. And when that happens, you will now not only be able to be advertising on the stuff that's on Hulu, but you'll be able to advertise on all the Disney stuff as well, because Disney will have a paid or an advertiser-based tier. So you'll be able to pay a certain amount and still see advertisements just like you do with Hulu. And so that's an opportunity for this audience to grow. But right now, Hulu serves about 115 million ad-supported viewers. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean they have 115 million people paying Hulu to have their service? No, not necessarily. 115 million ad-supported viewers. And what that means is their audience tends to watch in groups like we used to with our families on television. So when people are watching Hulu, there tends to be multiple people that are watching at the same time. So it might be in 50 million homes, but 115 million viewers are watching it, if that makes sense. Let's see, Mark says, what's the entry price of poker? Hulu, one-time recurring. I'm not sure what you mean by poker. That was just miswritten. But so Hulu right now, I believe, is still only $8 a month, $7.99. There is an ad-free tier that you can pay for. It's like $11.99. But the 115 million they're talking about here are people that actually have ads running on it. Michael says he's in Canada. Yeah, and I know parts of Canada have it, parts of it don't. So, because I know I didn't think it was in Canada, but there was some Canadians who were like, no, we get Hulu out here. So I think it is in parts of Canada, and maybe through, nefarious means. I'm not sure on that part, but yeah, Canada is not necessarily in Hulu's ballpark. But what we have is we do have a lot of Canadians who do commercials for people and run them on Hulu in the U.S. So they're advertising in the U.S. using Hulu. So there is still that opportunity there. But the majority of users of Hulu are watching on televisions, traditional TVs in their living room. So, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I see. Mark says price of poker. He was. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yes, that's the price there, and we'll talk about the for advertising in a minute. But as far as a viewer, like I said, $7.99, I believe, is what gets you the paid package. And if you do, there's bundled where you get Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN, and that's what I have. I think it's like $15 a month for all three of them. So there are bundle opportunities, and like I said, that may change once the Disney stuff really gets cooking with the Hulu stuff. So. But the majority of televisions, as opposed to iPads, phones, and computers. There's a lot of people watching on those devices, but the majority are actually watching on TV. And that's a really good thing for us. And I'll tell you why that's a good thing for us in just a minute here. So Hulu runs ads on all their programming. So unless you have one of the ad-free tiers where you're paying more money, you're going to be seeing it on everything, whether it's a movie or a TV show, you're going to be able to have ads running on that, which is a good thing for us. Not as great for the viewers having to watch the commercials, but it is good for us as advertisers. Okay. Hulu allows targeting by location as well as other demographics. This is where it becomes incredibly powerful and far better than traditional TV advertising. So, for instance, I have one client here that I talk about quite often. He's got an insurance company and he runs TV ads through Hulu, and his ads only run in our town here and in one other zip code. That's it. And he's able to target our town and this one other zip code. And in addition to that, much like if you do a Google ad or a Facebook ad, you can do other types of demographics, like for instance, age, male, female, do they own a car, things like that. So it's not as robust as doing like a Google ad where there's just millions and millions of things you can choose from. But it is very robust, especially compared to traditional television. If you need to sell insurance to people that own cars, let's say you want to sell it to males who own cars that are over the age of 30, you can do that. Okay. And you can kind of figure out who those people are. Now, the great thing about that is you're also going to be getting that in front of other people that are watching with them. So you'll be able to pick up some other things as well. But the targeting is what makes this really, really powerful. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, I was talking to Jack a little bit about this earlier. I actually own escape rooms, and we run TV ads for our escape rooms. I don't know of any other escape rooms in the country that do that because most of them have no idea that you can run on TV using Hulu. But we run our ads on television. So if you live in our town, you'll be able to, or in the towns around us, you'll be able to see us on TV. And think about how that works for people. We have down the road a place called Netherworld, which is a multi-million-dollar facility that does Halloween haunted house stuff, but it also has escape rooms. And they make millions of dollars. They make more in a day than we make in a month here, exactly, especially during Halloween season. But we're on TV and they're not. And that's the reason why. So, James says real estate. Yeah, for real estate, this could be fantastic. This could be great for real estate. Okay. So on top of that, this is the really exciting thing that kind of turned the corner for us when it comes to Hulu, is it doesn't require massive ad buys. Now, I always like to throw this out there as a question. Let's see who can make this guesstimate. When we first started dealing with Hulu for advertising, they required you to agree to spend a certain amount of money in order to even run an ad. Anyone want to take a guess at how much money they required you to spend in order to run an ad? Now, this isn't your commercial. This is just advertising spend. What did you need to commit to spend in order to even run an ad? Let's make some guesses in here and see what you think. Because I'd be willing to bet you're probably not going to get them right. If you do, you're more cynical than I thought. Let's see what we got here. It says 5,000. Darren says 30. No, it's definitely not 30. And it's definitely not 5,000 either. Let's see, 5,500. Actually, James, 500 is what you need to do now. And that's what we're going to talk about in a second, which is really exciting. So nowadays it's 500. Yeah, back then, we'll give it another second here. Oh, what do we got here? Frida says, hold on, I got to count the zeros. She says 100,000. Not quite, but you're much more in the ballpark. Believe it or not, $20,000. So can you imagine walking into John the plumber and going, hey, you should advertise on Hulu. It's really inexpensive, but you got to commit to $20,000. So it's really cheap to run it, but you gotta agree to spend $20,000 in order to get cheap ads. So that didn't work very well in the local market. And fortunately, that has changed, and they now make it $500. And we'll talk about that more in a second here. So the other great thing is viewers are likely to watch in groups. They're sitting around the TV with their families, with their friends, girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever, and they're watching in groups. That means that every time your ad runs and there's 3 people in the room watching that, you're getting 3 for the price of 1. And so your advertising is even cheaper than it may appear when you're looking at the actual statistics, because you can actually divide that cost by 2 or 3 or 5, depending on, I don't know what the average would be, but the average is probably at least 2. So you can divide that in half, really. And then, by the way, did I mention you can't skip the ads? Got to put that in there a few times, because that is one of the most important parts, because so many other platforms, people just skip right over the ads, and we don't want that. Now, why do I choose Hulu? Well, 66% of Hulu viewers are what we call lean back viewers. And I don't know if any of you know what that means, but what that means is they are sitting on their couch, leaning back and vegging out. And that's what we want. We want that vegged out TV watcher seeing our commercials, because it is bouncing around in their head for the next week. Okay. 66% are the people sitting on a couch, leaning back, watching TV. That's huge, and that's very important. The costs for Hulu are very similar to running a YouTube ad. If you've ever run a YouTube ad, it's actually very similar. YouTube ads we were getting for about 3 cents an ad, and Hulu we were getting about 3.5 cents per impression or view. Now, the thing about that is lately we've been getting about 2.5 to 2.7 cents. So it's actually come down a little bit. So it's actually cheaper than YouTube by just a tiny bit. Now, that's a really good thing for us. We love that. But it's very similar to the cost of a YouTube ad, which again is notoriously very inexpensive. Just as an example, we had a lawyer client who, when we were doing his ads, when Google ads and we were doing YouTube ads, his Google ads were costing about $40 per click. $40 per click. Okay. The YouTube ads were a click. So literally, a tiny fraction of what a regular Google ad was costing. We were getting more people clicking from the YouTube video than we were from the traditional Google ad. And so it can be very, very effective because of that. Now, streamers are also more to share what they watch. Now, this is important because if you think about it, when, a minute ago we saw Only Murders in the Building, and that was one of the hot TV shows a little while back, and people were sharing that. So people watch it, they share it with others. The more they share it with others at work and whatnot, the more your ads are going to be seen. And that's a really good thing. Okay. 42% of streamers binge watch. What does that mean? Well, that means more impressions for you in a shorter period of time. And of course, as we know, the more frequently we see an ad, the more likely we are to take an action. And if we see it more often in a shorter period of time, that increases even more. And the thing is, the way that these ads work is you say how much you want. In this month, I want to spend X number of dollars, $1,000, $2,000, $500, whatever it is. You're saying, I'm going to do that in this month. Okay. They're going to start spending your money on running those ads. If you've got somebody sitting there binging, they're going to start to see your ad a couple times, because why not? They're in the location, they're the target audience, and they're watching. Keep hitting them with it. So you're going to hit that same person. And frequency is a big thing. So the more you spend, the greater the frequency people will see your stuff. Okay, but you do need to commit at least $500, as we said, which is a pittance compared to $20,000. And it says here your ads need to be exactly 30 seconds. They can also be 15, but they do have to be exact. I only put 30 on here because that's what I do. I don't do the 15-second ones. I only do 30, but I could do 15 if I wanted. 30-second commercials have to be 30 seconds on the spot. And I remember one time putting up an ad onto Hulu, and it kept getting rejected. I'm like, what is going on? And I looked more closely, and the commercial was 30 seconds and 1 frame, and it would reject it. So I had to go cut 1 frame out and then resubmit it. So just be aware of that. Ads also need to follow their text specifications, which can be very confusing to people that don't know these things. And even people that do, it can still be confusing because you have to have the right file format. You have to have the right data rates. You have to have the right frame rates. Your audio has to be the right kind of audio and the right frame rate for your audio. These things have to be considered. Now, the thing is, the first time you do it, it's difficult. And once you figure it out, it's just a matter of doing it the same every time. And you can save presets in whatever editor you use. So it's not a huge deal after that. But it does require the training to learn what that is, because otherwise you're going to be just spinning your wheels on this and going, why the heck can't I get my commercial on there? Well, it's because of the tech specs. So what I'm offering to you today is that you become the TV ads hero for your clients or for yourself even. Could be for, if you're doing this for yourself. So what I want to do is I want to help you to learn all about running TV ads on Hulu. And that's going to include everything from setting up your initial account, which, by the way, is much, much easier nowadays. When we started this, you had to basically apply and hope that they let you in. Okay. Arlene, I'll get to that in 1 second. You had to apply and say, I want to be in. And if you answered their questions incorrectly, they would not let you in. And a lot of times it wasn't that they, oh, we don't want this guy in there. It was you answered something a certain way and they weren't ready for that yet. So they're like, oh, we're not doing that yet. So they cut you out. So we had to work on, here's what you have to say to get in. Well, nowadays it seems, for the most part, from the people that are joining now, I joined this, I probably joined the back when it was $20,000 years ago was when I first joined into this. But nowadays, when you go into it, I used to tell people, you need to go in as an individual, not as an advertising company. But now you can go in as an advertising company and they accept that. So they've made it a little bit easier. You shouldn't have any issues getting accepted into the program now. You really didn't before, as long as you answered properly, but you did have to be approved, which could take a day or two. Now it seems like people have said they've signed up now and get right in, which is good. I'm going to show you how to run effective targeted campaigns in there. That includes making sure that you're getting the right locations, your content-based stuff. So in other words, let's say that you're running an ad for a local sports bar. Well, where do you want to advertise on that? You want to advertise on, maybe the sports channels and the comedy stuff and, like that. So you can advertise on specific types of content. If you've got a shoe store, you could, if you got a women's shoe store like we did before, you could be advertising on content that is directed towards women. Halloween time, maybe you want to be on the sci-fi stuff because you got something scary going on. Whatever it is, we show you exactly how to run content-based advertising as well as activity-based. And by activity-based, I mean all those things we talked about. Do you own a car? Do you own a home? Are you a male? Are you a female? Are you older? Are you younger? Are you top 10% earner or are you bottom 50% earner? So all of those types of things, how to set up those ads for the right people. And in some cases, when you don't even want to do that, I'll be completely honest, many times all you do is choose the location, depending on the type of business. Because if you've got car insurance, well, everybody needs car insurance, right? It's not just the top 10%. It's not just the bottom 50. It's not just people over 30. It's not just people under 30. Everybody needs car insurance. So you can target based on location. And when should you do that? We're also going to talk about the ads, how to create the ads that follow the proper text specifications. Because again, that's very, very technical, but it's not so technical that when you learn how to do it, you can't do it. Because it's all a matter of just doing the right settings in your video editor of choice. Whether you're using Premiere or Final Cut Pro or whatever it is that you use, as long as you're setting up the protocols properly. And by the way, they don't even have to be proper at the beginning, as long as they're proper at the end. So we show you exactly how to make sure that you're doing that, making sure that you're at the proper length, the proper format, the proper frame rates, all of that stuff. Make sure you get it right. And we're going to show you all about how to get analytics and report those successes to your clients so they can see exactly what they're getting for the ads that they're running. So that's a really, really good thing. But we also have a few others that we do with this, okay? We've also gone and we've created 30-second commercials that are ready for you right now. And these are in all the top niches. And, I think in here when I made this, I said we had 20 of them or something. And now we've got, well more than that. I don't even know the number. I think it's over 40 now at least. But we have these 30-second commercials that you can use on Hulu. And I know they'll work because I have tried it before. I've used these in ads that I put on Hulu to make sure that, Hulu would accept them, because there is content restrictions as well. So it's not just the technical stuff. There are content restrictions where they may look at an ad and go, no, we're not letting you put that on there. However, remember my insurance friend I talked about? Well, he had somebody make some ads for him, these really, really bad, just terrible ads that made me cringe when I saw them. But he had somebody make these for him, and Hulu accepted it, no problem, because technically speaking, they were fine. There was nothing objectionable in them, and the tech specs were proper. Just the videos themselves were just total cringe, but that was okay. That worked, So we're going to give you training on how to modify all of these ads for your specific business that you're working with. So obviously, if you're working with Johnny's Pizza and you've got a pizza ad from us, well, we don't know that you're working with Johnny's Pizza. So we need to show you how to add Johnny's Pizza to that commercial so people know how to contact him. And so we do train on that as well. So you'll get ready-made commercials, and we'll show you how to modify them for your specific client. And not only with just their name and their logo, but also how you can actually modify it with, let's say you take that commercial, you go to that insurance agent, you take a couple of videos or images and add those to that video. So now it's not just a generic video, it's actually got their footage in there as well. And, we show you exactly how to do that. Plus, we're giving you a whole bunch of content to use on top of that. So that includes a 4K video library. So you'll have all sorts of videos that you can use. And you may remember earlier, I kind of alluded to the fact that we used AI recently to make an entire commercial. And just to tell you what we did, we actually had AI write us an allergy commercial, okay, for a made-up product, which, by the way, the made-up product turns out used to be a product. I can't even remember what I called it. I think I called it Allerest or something like that. And we looked it up, and sure enough, there used to be a product called Allerest. And, but we made a commercial for it, and we had AI write the commercial. We had AI do the voiceover. We went to my stock media collections and we pulled video from there. So that wasn't AI, but it was stock video. And we put the commercial together and got it out there. And it was a 30-second commercial. And it looked like one of those commercials you would see on TV, people playing in the field and, whatever. And then it had an allergy product at the end. We even made a box, a fake box for the product and everything. So did that in about a half an hour. While I was teaching this lesson, we made this commercial in the lesson. So it's not very difficult to do that if you have to do that. We give you a music library, so you got music that you can use in those commercials. We got sound effects. And by the way, we're talking about thousands of items. We've got animated backgrounds. So if you need to put a background behind that, we got animated graphics like lower thirds and buttons and things like that you can use in your videos. And what's not mentioned here, we actually have green screen studios in there as well. So you've actually got a few of those that you can use as a background. And so that's what we've got in there. Now, I do want to go back 1 second here and mention a couple of things. I know Arlene mentioned the $500 deal. So with our advertising, what the $500 thing is you're agreeing to spend $500 on advertising with them. So when you create a campaign, you can choose how much you want to spend on that campaign. You have to choose at least 500, but that 500 could be spread out over a week, a month, 2 months, whatever you want to spread that out to. If they want to spend $250 a month, you take that 500, spread it over 2 months. I wouldn't necessarily do that. You're not going to get as much penetration. So I would say you want to do at least 500 in a month, just my opinion, or more. But you can do less than that. And it'll tell you when you go to do it, it'll actually say, hey, this is a little low. You might not get a lot of impressions, but you're going to get the same number of impressions for $500 no matter what. So you're going to get, I believe it's like 14,000 impressions. So your video is going to be watched 14,000 times for $500. It's just a matter of how spread out that is. You can get 14,000 views in 2 months, 3 months, 1 month, 2 weeks. You decide that. Okay. And so that's what we mean by that. It's just a commitment to that amount of money. But to move on here. So what do we got here for you? With this, you're going to be getting that full training on TV ads with Hulu. You're going to be getting how to use Hulu, how to make the videos, etc. You're going to get, and it says here 20, but it's at least 40 right now, 40 ready to use TV commercials. Okay. You're going to get the 4K video library with hundreds of videos in there. You're going to get the music library with hundreds of tracks. And by the way, I think it's actually over 1,000, but I say hundreds just to be safe. You're You're going to get the sound effects. You're going to get the animated backgrounds. You're going to get the animated graphics. And like I said, you're also going to get the green screen studios as well, the chroma key studios that are in there, which I had a professional architect create these with CAD and whatnot. So you're going to get those. And that's a total value of, well, it says here $33.94, but you can at least double that 1,000 there. So it makes it $43.94 because we got the extra commercials in there. But of course, as in good webinar fashion, we're not going to charge you $33.94 or $43.94 for all of this. We're going to do this for you right now for only $2.99. And Jack, I don't know if you can do this or not. If I try to paste this in there, it's going to turn off my presentation. So if you could paste that link into there for them, that would be fantastic. If you can't, I can do it, but I don't want to shut off my my thing while I'm doing it, because I know as soon as I click on that, it's going to shut it off.
Okay, I will work on it.
Excellent. But yes, so this is what you're going to get for this. And like I said, it's a heck of a deal. And by the way, I don't know if I put that on here. No, I didn't. Now I shut off my presentation anyway. So let me put that back on. I'm going to put it back
see
on.
the link?
Let me see. I do not see the link yet.
Arlene, do you see the link in the chat?
And actually, Mark, that's funny. Mark says he has an allergy solution client. Well, there you go. You can make commercials for him with AI. And let's see. Arlene says she is still a pre-beginner with creating video of any kind.
Link is there. Very good.
Excellent.
Thank you, Dan.
So still learning other things you need to know. Well, the good thing is, Arlene, as long as you have some sort of a video editor. So again, that could be, if you've got the Adobe Creative Suite, you've got Adobe Premiere. If you've got, if you're on Apple, you get pretty inexpensively. Filmic Pro, or not Filmic Pro, HitFilm is completely free and very easy to use. And then you've got DaVinci Resolve, which is, again, free to use, a lot more complex to learn, but free to use. And then, of course, many of you have probably gotten CapCut lately. And believe it or not, you could use CapCut to do this. CapCut is a great free video editing program that you can use to create these types of commercials. It has all the tools that you need in there, and it has AI built in, so you can do a lot of really cool stuff with that. In fact, I'm using CapCut a lot more than I used to, just because of that. Okay, let's see. Any other questions we got in here so far? If you do have questions, throw them in here, because I would love to answer them for you. Let me see if we missed anything in here. And going back, James asked about real estate. Yeah, so real estate is great for this. And we have worked with real estate agents on this. All it requires is making some sort of commercial. And the great thing is, with real estate agents, they don't mind getting on camera. Your commercial could be them just talking about the area, talking about what they do. And, you can throw some B-roll in there, and you could have a commercial very, very quickly without having to go too crazy. And wants to know about CapCut. So CapCut, Jeffrey, is a video editing software, just like Final Cut Pro or Premiere, but it's actually, I don't know if it's put out by the people at TikTok, but it's very closely connected to TikTok. It's kind of like TikTok's video editing program, but it's free. They do have upgrades that you can buy. So if you wanted to, for instance, if you want to add certain special effects, you may pay like $1 or something like that to get a special effect, or you might pay $7 a month to have all the effects and things like that. So they do charge a little bit for that, but you don't need those extra special effects. It's got everything that you need built in, even if you stay completely free. I did buy the upgrade because I think it's like $7 a month or something. So I did buy that, but it's a very, very good program. I mean, shockingly good. Kim wants to know if she can see one of the commercials. Yeah, we could probably do that. I think I can pull that off. I'll find out how technical I am with our GoToWebinar here. So let me make sure we can see what I want you to see here. And let me try and pull up one of the advertisements. Let's go with, let's try plumber, just to pull one up here. I was going to search my hard drives that are all asleep. Oh, I can hear them spinning back up. Come on, sometime today. This is why we have super expensive commercials here, because, excuse me, super expensive computers, so that we can have hard drives that fall asleep and don't want to work. Just give me 1 second here. We'll pull one of these up here. Throw out any other questions, by the way, while we're doing this, and I will answer those as well. But let me pull up one of these commercials here if I can find it. Let me move that out of the way. There we go. All right, let's try this again. Plum. Come on now. Here, you know what? Might even be easier to just do this. Let's go over here to our old friend YouTube. If we can get rid of all of these, we'll actually pull it up on YouTube. So if you want to follow it along at home, if you go to YouTube and you search, oh, actually, you know what? That's not going to work anyway. Never mind. Give me, why is this taking so long to see? This is why I'm not a tech person at anything other than YouTube and videos. So let me see if I can find the ones I'm looking for here. Here we go. Is this it? So what we have these. Oh, you know what? Where these are? My apologies, guys. It's going to be in our TV Ads Hero area. Throw out those questions while I'm hopelessly rummaging through my hard drives here. There we go. I forgot that I put them in here by themselves. So let's see. Here's a car accident lawyer one.
If you've been in an accident, you probably have a lot of questions, such as, how am I going to pay my medical bills? How do I make up for time out of work? Or how do I get my car replaced? Well, we have years of experience helping people like you receive the compensation that they deserve, even if the insurance company is avoiding your claims. We can help. Don't face the insurance company alone. We offer free consultations, so give us a call today.
Okay, so you got all these in here, different ones. And like I said, I think we've got 40 altogether right now. Originally started with 20, but we got them in all different
If
formats.
you're looking for a reliable, professional, and affordable HVAC service, well, you've come to the right place.
And no, he's not in all of them, but he is in a lot of them.
Are you looking to buy or sell a home? If so, you've come to the right place. We'd like to give you the opportunity to work with one of the top local real estate agents and get the best.
Okay, so there's our real estate one. And let me see what questions we got going on here. Okay, let's see. 2 years ago, I purchased TV Ads Hero Insider. What is their difference? So, Patrick, the only difference would be some of the trainings have been updated a little bit, and we have more commercials than you probably had at the time. 2 years ago. Woo! You must have been one of the originals. Wow. What about Microsoft Clipchamp? You know what? Herschel, I have no idea what that is. Couldn't even begin to tell you. I am not a Microsoft user, so I honestly have no idea on that one. Jack, I don't know if you know what that one is, but I've never heard of it.
No, I don't. I have been using which video program I had always for the Mac, for the Windows, but now I changed to the Mac now. I'm going to use your CapCut thing. I'm going to try it.
CapCut's great. CapCut does, I mean, it does more than it should for, and easier. That's the one thing I should mention in there is not only is it amazing what it does, but it's amazing how easy it is to use and still has all of that higher end stuff.
Yeah, I have Final Cut Pro and I have Creative Cloud, but the learning curve is kind of steep. So
it can be. Yes, it definitely can be.
So I'm going to try CapCut for easy editing.
Nice. Now here's the big question. James asks, what are you the customers? So James, this is going to be a little bit different for a lot of people. So what I tell people is if you've ever done Google Ads, you're kind of going to be charging them the same way. What I like to do is I like to charge a minimum charge, then a percentage of the spend. And so for instance, like I know some people they'll do like, their minimum is a month because they're dealing with a lot of, let me explain one other thing first. Your involvement in this and your physical labor is very, very small. So you can take on a lot of with this. So what a lot of people do is they charge a small fee, like maybe $100 a month. And then for every dollar over either 500 or over 1,000, they'll charge either 10 or 15%. So they get that minimum charge. And that way what they do is if you've got a small company, because there's going to be a lot of smaller companies that don't have, $5,000 a month to spend. They only have $500 a month to spend or $700 a month to spend. And so if you're dealing with those, you can do a lot of them. So you can still make really good money doing that. Because I'm talking about, somebody comes to you, I'm talking about setting them up in, half hour at most. So if you're collecting a month and, an extra $200 in fees above the 500 or the 1,000 or whatever, you might only be making $300 a month, but that's for a half hour. And by the way, when I say a half hour, that might be a half hour in 6 months. So if they commit to 6 months on this, you do that half hour setup, it's good for 6 months. You don't have to come back every week or every month or anything like that. You're done. As long as the ad doesn't change or whatever, you're getting paid all that money for a half hour's worth of work. That's what makes this really, really powerful. Now, on top of that, of course, if smaller companies, they're going to need a commercial made. So you're going to want to charge for that. Okay. Even if there's somebody that can't afford a lot of money to do things, you got to charge them for the commercial. Now, you may run across, like what we've run across is companies like law firms. And law firms, they probably have already done TV commercials, and they'll just hand you the TV commercials. Here's 5 years worth of TV commercials that we've done. And you just convert them and put them on to Hulu, and it takes minutes. And it's going to take you just within a half hour, you'll have the whole campaign set up for them. Smaller companies don't have commercials. You're going to have to shoot something. So you're going to have to charge them for that. And you can make good money doing that, because you could charge them that $1,000 to come out and shoot a quick commercial and then start charging them that monthly fee. And again, you set it up once and it just runs forever. But again, you could change that dynamic all around. You could charge a lot more. You could require that they run your commercial, and that has a certain fee to it. So there's different ways to make money. You can also use it as a foot in the door, which is really a powerful tool as well. You get in the door with them, and now you're doing their YouTube marketing and their social media marketing and their SEO and things like that. You can also bundle it, which is what I like to do. I like to bundle it in with other things we're doing. So we're doing Google My Business profile setup, and we're doing videos for their YouTube channel, and we're running Google ads, and we're running Hulu ads. And then we charge a price for all of that. Okay, so it just depends on your business, what you're doing now, and how you want to do it. But the sky's the limit with this. You could charge whatever you can get away with. Whatever you want to charge, you could do that. You could just say, hey, you could tell them we do minimum of a month and run, $600 worth of ads and keep 400 if you wanted. I mean, it's up to you how you want to do that. But there's a lot of different ways. Kim says, it looks interesting, but I can't do it right now. Oh, come on, Kim. So that's the spokesperson ad from over 100 video ads. Gary, I'm not sure what you mean by that. That's one of the, so I think what you're talking about there is we used to have a program, well, we still have a program called Instant Spokesperson. So these ads here are 30 seconds. The Instant Spokesperson stuff was anywhere from 40 seconds to a minute and 15. And so, yes, what we did was we started to re-edit the stuff we already had into 30-second commercials for this. And so there will be more coming as we continue to edit those things down to 30 seconds. So that's where they come from. So they were originally longer videos. Some of them were, barely longer, but longer videos that were re-edited specifically to be a 30-second commercial. All right, let's see. Can you find out where the ads ran? Yes, when and where. Okay, so there is no when. And what I mean by that, Darren, is these are individually serviced ads. So in other words, television, if you went to a traditional TV advertiser and run a commercial, they're going to tell you, oh, your commercial is going to run on, a commercial break during the Big Bang Theory at the 7:00 hour, and your ad will run at, 7:14 or whatever. And that's not the case with this. This is, as far as that goes, is much more like YouTube. So these ads are served when people are watching. So you don't know when somebody might be watching. Now, in theory, there's probably people watching all the time. So when they start a show, no matter what that show is, there's going to be an ad that's run. And then at the ad break, there's going to be an ad that's run. So your ads will be served whenever somebody's watching, not at a specific time. But you will be able to see, how often they ran. You'll be able to see the number of ads that ran. And hopefully that makes sense. And if it doesn't, feel free to add another bit more for that question. Yeah, so, and that's okay. So hopefully that makes sense, Darren. All right. And in fact, you know what? You guys want me to show you the inside of it a little bit? Let me show you the inside of it. Come on. There we go. Well, I'll show you I'll show you the that guy that we were talking about earlier. Okay, so you can see you can have different campaigns in here and everything. So this is that insurance guy here. What's great about this is, as you can see right now, you can actually have different brands in here. So this is the the insurance agent, but you can see we've got other different ones in here as well. But you can see with his here, and you can see this one here, 120. This one's going to start and end in February of 20. Oh, that's 23. Oh, so right here, sorry, 15th. This particular one's going to end. He's got a budget of 1,500, which is going to be 43,000 impressions. Now, an impression in here is a view. So every time somebody views a video, that's an impression. Okay, which is a little different than like on YouTube, where an impression is the number of times it shows up in front of them, but a view is the number of times they see the impression and then watch the video. In this case here, every time they watch, it's an impression. Okay, and so this is the current one that he has here, which just started on 11/16. So this one's been going for a little while. And by the way, one thing to mention with this here, he is actually managing his own now. So he's inside of my account as one of my clients, but you can give him client access. So I'm getting paid, but he's doing all the work now, because he was like, oh, can I go in there and add my own ads and do that? I was like, sure. And so I gave him client access. And so now he brings his own ads in there and he does it himself, and he just pays me a fee for managing it and running it, but I don't even do anything. He does it all now. So, but you can see he's spent $500 of his 1,500 so far, which makes sense because we're barely into December. It started in November. So a little over a month. It's a little over 500. It's going to be 1,500 for the 3 months. Okay. His reach is 3,896 people. And this is what's really important here. He's got a frequency of 3.9. So what that means is that these people have seen his ad 4 times in that short period of time. Okay. The more money you spend in your target area. So if he doubled his spend, if he did 30,000, then people would have seen his stuff nearly 8 times. Okay. So that's the beauty of this here. And I will admit their reports are not fantastic, but you can kind of see all the different reports, and there are things you can run. What I do is I actually take the data and I create my own reports, because I don't think the reports are they give you the information, but they're not exciting to look at. So, and you can see his targeting here. So he's targeting all these different things here: forms, living room, interests, movies, and such. All of these things are inside of here. And you can download the report, but the report that you download is, well, actually I got a network error that time, so I don't even know if it downloaded.
So do you have a restaurant video?
I don't have a lot of restaurant videos, and I'll tell you why. The reason I don't have, and I don't think I have any in there right now, I might have a pizza one, but I don't think so. The reason for that is every time I've made a restaurant video, all I get is complaints. And what I mean by that is, oh, yeah, I'm an Italian restaurant, but I'm a fancier Italian restaurant. That doesn't look fancy enough. Or, oh, that looks too fancy for my restaurant. Or, I don't sell those kind of burgers. My burgers look different. Or my pizza looks different. Mine's a pan pizza. You show this kind of pizza. So it's very difficult to do a restaurant video that's generic.
So which niche would you say works the best?
I like the insurance niche. I like roofers. And I do like real estate. And I liked my escape room stuff too. I think that lent itself really well. Obviously, that's going to be a little more few and far between. But I think plumbers is another good one. Pest control. Those are ones that I think work really well. And if you can get lawyers are excellent. Lawyers are a really, really good one. They're willing to spend more money. They likely have a commercial already, so you don't even have to create the commercial. Okay. So that's one thing that I really like other lawyers. What's that?
Dentist? Do you have a dentist?
Yes, dentist is one of them. Yep.
I think dentist is a good one, because
dentists definitely can be, and they may have done TV too, so they may have TV ads.
They have money, and not everybody likes to go to the dentist, and you are always late, and then you see that ad and you think, okay, now I'm going to try that out. That dentist, he has a commercial, he has an ad.
Yep. And chiropractors are another one that fit right into that too.
Yeah,
that can do really well with it. I don't have any local chiropractic clients, but I do actually have clients out of state that are chiropractors. So it does work really well with them. But you can see here in these reports, they give you a little bit of information, because he's hitting a lot of different target niches here: any car, hybrids, luxury shoppers, luxury vehicles, SUVs.
Do you have auto repair?
Yes, we do have. Well, actually, hold on. If we don't, we have the video for it. I don't know if it's been converted to one of the 30-second ones yet, but it will be.
I think auto repair is a good one too. So you always need service for your car, huh?
Yeah,
And get
because we do have
right.
videos for auto repair. We've got videos for tire shops. We've
Yeah.
got videos for, I think, muffler shops. So we got a few of them. They haven't all been converted to 30 seconds yet, but we do have them. So they will
So,
be if they
so
haven't yet.
is it a fair question if somebody wants a certain niche, you go do your best to create a video for it?
Oh, I'd be as long as we already have a video that I can quickly convert. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, obviously, if I'm going to be creating something from scratch, that would be a different story. But yeah, if it's one of the ones that we just have to convert to 30 seconds, absolutely.
How many videos do you have as in your 200 or something, or how many videos do you
I've
have?
got, I believe it's something like 320 different
So
niches.
that covers a lot of niches. So if you
Yes,
want a certain niche, which is part of the, what Ray has 320, he will short it up that it fits on Hulu, like those 30 seconds thing.
I can
So
tell you, we even have tattoo removal. We've got
I-
CBD shop. So we have some pretty wild ones in there too. So
tattoo
chances
removal
are we've covered
actually,
most of the major ones.
but tattoo removal is actually a good niche. I started that in 2008. Actually, my wife did that
Hmm.
to get started with SEO. That's how my wife started to do something with digital marketing. So I now I'm kind of know a little bit about tattoos, but what I wanted to go to is if you have a specific niche, it is likely that Ray one of the 320 and he will cut it down for you for 30 seconds so
Yep.
that it fits
Uh,
on Hulu.
Actually, here we got a couple of really good ones. Darren said, "What keeps the insurance guy from cutting you out?" He is always needing answers to questions, so he's not going to cut me out. And he doesn't have an account of his own, and probably doesn't know how to create an account. So he's kind of stuck in mine. At worst, he's probably more worried that I shut him off than anything else. So, but
So
theoretically, he could create his own account and do it if he wanted to, But I don't think he has the
so
technical chops to
it's the
do it.
same question. Why do local businesses not do the Google ads by themselves?
Or an even better example would be, oh, he's been doing my Google business profile for 3 months. I might as well just cut him out now because he's probably got enough done that I don't need anymore,
So
that kind of thing. But as long as he
when
wants to run ads, he's going to need me. So,
when you look at the Hulu interface, it is not only uploading the video, it's also targeting
correct.
where
Yep.
which audience you want to show and which area. So
Yep.
and that is all covered in the training to optimize your target area and your and all the Hulu interface. So
The
it's
most difficult part is going to be the outside of the Hulu platform, is the making sure the videos are the right format and all that. That's where the real tough part comes in. And it's not that tough once you know how to do it. Now, Herschel has a really good question here. Would this work for e-commerce businesses? Herschel, absolutely. Now, yes, this particular presentation was focused on the local stuff, but you could be selling an e-commerce thing across the entire country if you wanted to, or across your state, or across 7 different states, or whatever you want. If you sell products like a physical product on Amazon, you could run commercials for that. So any of those types of things, you could absolutely do. It does not have to be a local niche like this. This presentation was focused on the local niches, just because that's who I've mostly targeted with this. But yeah, you could run. In fact, I've talked to like Todd Gross and a couple other product creators about doing Hulu ads for products that we sell on things like JV Zoo and whatnot, just to try it out. We haven't done it yet, but it's something that we've talked about putting together, is something where we're selling those types of products on there. And I have seen others that are doing similar things. I believe Speechalo, which is one of those AI speech tools, I've seen that advertised on actual TV through, I don't know if it was through Hulu or one of the other ones, but I've seen it while watching actual TV. So they're definitely doing stuff like that. And like I said, we're going to be trying to get into Peacock, because that seems like the next friendly one for us. Possibly Paramount. I don't know how friendly that one's going to end up being, but that's another one we want to look at, which is a
so
CBS property.
I think I don't know if you have it, but I think you could create a digital marketing video for 30 seconds and
Yes.
lead and offer digital marketing or website creation or so, and run
Yep.
it to your own website.
You could definitely do stuff like that. The only thing to worry, not wouldn't say worry is not the right word. The only thing to be aware, and I'm working with Hulu right now. I'm trying to find out for sure what their true stance on this is, but the ability to put a QR code on the commercial. And the reason I say that is because they're in some of their wording for their specifications, it mentions something about clickable this and that's in the commercials, which obviously on a TV, you're not really going to have that anyway. But does that include QR codes? And I haven't really gotten a true response to that yet. What I may do, I may just throw up a commercial that has a QR code and just see if they accept it or kick it out, which I probably should have done already.
Yeah,
I may do that. I'll
independent
just
of the QR code, it's a digital marketing video accepted by Hulu.
should be. I have not seen where they wouldn't accept something like that.
And
It's not something that I've actually tried yet, but
do you have a digital marketing video?
I'd have to look and see if I've got one that's
Okay,
30
so
seconds.
here's the bonus. I will give away a digital marketing video, and he cut it
Nice.
to 30 seconds. And I think it is really nice idea to upload it and drive traffic to your website.
That would be very cool.
So anyway, it worked for you and for your clients.
That's really cool. I like that. But yeah, and it's something that we've put up products like not digital marketing products, but products, and we have done commercials with that. I've threatened to make ones with digital marketing products, but I haven't tried it yet. Maybe I should get in there, try that out.
No, the digital marketing for local business owners, not for us, So
Correct.
that,
Yes.
that you target local business owners to create a better digital marketing presence, like a website. And you see those advertisements all around, but now you advertise for your own service. That can be Google Ads, that can be Google Business Profile, that can be call tracking, that can be the lead widget, that can be, creating a website, can be anything. So
Yep.
you want to have, you need as digital marketer always have a digital marketing website, and once you have that website, you need to drive traffic to it.
Yep. And I can tell you that these ads, they are very effective because, we talk to people all the time and they're like, for instance, this guy here that we see right here, Doug, he says, oh, people come in and they tell me they hear my jingle all the time, or they sing my jingle to me because he's got a jingle in that particular ad that we made for him. And so people come in and they, sing his jingle to him. So it is definitely getting out there. And the other one would be my employees would come in and be like, oh, I went home last night and I'm sitting in front of the TV and what do I see? An ad for our stuff.
Yep.
So we know it definitely gets out there. I watch Hulu quite a bit. I don't watch a lot of TV anyway, but when I am, often it is Hulu and I do see my commercials on there for different things.
But it's really, Hulu gets, you pay per view. So you pay 3.5 cents per view. Nothing.
Yep. And lately we've been getting a little bit better than that too. As a matter of fact, let's look here. Let's do some math on his while we got it up on the screen here just to see. So he's got
$500 divided by 14,000 views. That's what I remember. Yes. And I calculated on my phone. That's 3.5 cents.
And actually, that's where we were usually getting it, was about 3.5. And a while back, we were noticing it was down closer to 3, and then at one point 2.7. So it has gone down, but it looks like it's gone up a little bit again. It's still slightly lower than it was, and it's usually pretty stable. I was surprised when I saw that it went down like that. But I think when it goes down, what I've noticed is it's based on the stuff you do here. So when you change some of the targeting stuff, I noticed that can affect it a little bit, but I've never seen it go above 3.5. All right. Any more questions? Throw them out there.
So what do you guys think?
I think it's fantastic. Thank you.
That was you.
And by the way, for those of you who have jumped in, thank you. I appreciate it. No more questions? We've gone quiet here, Jack,
Yeah.
which is okay because I know we're at an hour and a half now, so
I think
we're
everybody's
well
taking
beyond what we promised.
good. So if you want to watch the replay, that's fine. I will try to get it up tomorrow. And I definitely, but if I was you, I would watch the part that Ray showed Hulu on the back end, because that is where the meat is.
By the way, I'm going to put in here, and I just sent it to everybody, so hopefully you see that. I just threw my phone number in there. Feel free to call me. People think I'm crazy, but I do this all the time. I put my phone number out there for you guys to see because, in fact, I had an extra slide on here that actually had my phone number, but I pulled it off for this presentation because it had information for the actual local businesses. But feel free to give me a call. And I don't know if you guys saw that when I posted it there. It should have gone to everybody, but if you want to write it down, it's 801-821-0802. So feel free to call and ask me questions. If you need me to show it to you privately, I can. If you got questions, I can answer them for you. But feel free to reach out. This, to me, is one of the best advertising things I've gotten into in a long time. It's incredibly affordable, incredibly powerful. And I don't know if anybody disagrees with me, but I don't think anybody else is teaching this. I've not seen anybody else teaching this yet. And again, I've kind of been quietly putting this out there there we go, slowly putting this out there over the last couple of years since I've been using it. But, I haven't seen anybody else trying to do this yet. And I'm surprised by that because every other time I've come up with something interesting, 10 other people put it out a month later. But we've been able to keep this under the vest a little bit. So can you put the website address back on the screen? Oh, yeah, of course. Absolutely. So I know it's a weird one, sowl.co and then a bunch of funky numbers. But what I'll do is I will post it back in there again.
I think for people who are on mobile, they don't see the general chat. I think that is the deal. Let me know if you need the link. If you are mobile, I think you miss the link. I need the phone. Please repeat. Get information. Can you put the website link? Here's the website link.
Yeah. So if you're seeing it on your screen here, go ahead and do a screen capture, and that way you'll have that. Just capture the screen there on your phone, then you'll have that in there as well.
That is smart. I want to thank Ray for the presentation and the info and the new angle. I have never shown this, so it's also new for me. And I'm here to try at least every week to bring you to the next level and learn something new. And I hope you learn something today new and take advantage of it. And with that said, I thank everybody for your time and see you on the next training. Thank you so much.
Right. Thanks, guys.